for 2019. And, well, we can always expect a result from Ruben Boutens. Straight away, just having his name on the list means he is potential for winning this overall. However, making it exciting is a double former British champion of the BRKC. It is Lee Hackett. Lee Hackett, he's currently living in London, from Herefordshire originally, but lives in London these days, and he has been the British champion in 2012 and 2013. That, of course, is when the BRKC was a multi-venue outdoor championship. Since moving indoor, it's been all about Ruben Boutens. But Lee Hackett, he has won races in his own right in BRKC in the indoor format, so he can't be ruled out from the indoor point of view, can Lee Hackett. So it's going to be very interesting. Dante Dhillon, what can we say about Dante Dhillon? Well, he was a semi-finalist last year, but he was spectacularly quick in testing yesterday in all the many laps. Over 2,000 laps completed yesterday, by all the karts and drivers. And Dante Dhillon was one of the best. So don't rule him out either. We've got Kyle Powers, Stephen King there, Carl Stevens, Calum Conway, Andrew Duff, who writes that exciting blog. Always a must-read is Andrew Duff's blog there. He's going to be in this race. He's also another one competing for the Masters Trophy, the Cam Ho Trophy, for those who are over 40 years of age. Greg Smith there. He is he was the Young Stars Winter Champion in 2014, and he's racing in this event as well. And of course, Mark-Sisman, and Mark-Sisman. Well, we've not really seen him, but he's one of the competitors in the British University Kart Championships. Always somebody to be reckoned with if coming out of that series. It's not a very easy one at all, and he is one of their runners there. So we'll see how he does. And the laps are coming through there. They're on there finalising their qualifier. There's Ruben Boutens. He's surely the benchmark. 32.4. An excellent time. Kyle Power in second place at the moment. Still Ruben, Andrew Duff into third. Andrew Duff currently third of this. Through Lee Hackett moves to second. Only 1/10 behind Ruben Boutens. Conway third. Stephen King has now come to second place. Dante Dhillon in sixth. I'm surprised he's that far down. But Stephen King showing well in second. But it is, of course, Ruben Bouters. Just two karts to come through. Carl Stevens. Where's Greg Smith? Greg Smith across the line. He comes into ninth place there. So an epic run there by Ruben Boutens to take pole position for the fourth heat. Ruben Boutens, the reigning world and reigning British champion. Now, Ruben Boutens has a CV as long as your arm, and the trouble is, every year it just gets bigger. We got way beyond the point now of starting to talk about Ruben Boutens' results over the years as a whole. There's just about enough time to squeeze in what he's done in the previous year every time out. I mean, this time it's getting to the point of craziness. I mean, it's getting well out of hand, the winning that he does. And there he is, Ruben Boutens, racing for the Blue Star team now. Blue Star team are an absolute team of experts from Belgium. This is one of probably the toughest and best team to be involved with in the world of indoor karting and rental karting generally. Hailing from Belgium, Blue Star, you've got to be very, very good to even get close to an invite to that team. Ruben Boutens, as a double world champion, reigning world champion and six-time British champion, is someone, of course, that they're going to want. We'll be introducing their other drivers. I believe it's Logan Sune and former world champion Greg Laporte are the other two drivers making up that three-kart team, scoring points for the team's championship. So, in the lineup here, of course, Stephen King. Now, Stephen King, what can we say about him? There he is with the purple-coloured helmet there, behind Ruben Boutens. He's not started this high up before. Really, he's come on very strongly lately. In the summer, there was the O-Plate Championship. That was an outdoor event down South Coast Karting, run by the Lovell family down there. George, of course, we saw come in second to Johan Medart earlier on. South Coast Karting there, running an excellent O-Plate Championship. Now, Stephen King was third there last summer, outdoor series, run in the summer. See how that translates? It's translating very well because he's starting behind the reigning world champion. So, there he is, the Dutchman, Ruben Boutens. His last championship win was over the new year when he won the Race Hall Race of Champions over in Denmark. And Ruben Boutens, his campaign to become a 6-time champion, starts now. He's leading into the snail section. This is a very close run, though. There's some serious talent behind him. Ruben Boutens being bundled out of the way by Stephen King. Stephen King having a shot in the snail section. Oh, he's got it back, though. Ruben Boutens not to be pushed aside, but did get shoved there by Stephen King. Was forced out wide, but luckily for him, had the inside. So Ruben Boutens was under pressure, but equally under pressure now Stephen King. There is Lee Hackett behind him. Lee Hackett's running third there in the dark blue suit. And so there's Lee Hackett, Calum Conway fourth, Kyle Power fifth. Well, look at this. Ruben Boutens got a little bit of a lead, but a lot of that lead has not really come from outright speed. It's come from a bit of a kerfuffle in the snail earlier on. The question is, though, is Ruben Boutens the kind of man you give any kind of lead to at this stage? No. Maybe it was a mistake to go that hard early and try and take the lead from Ruben Boutens, but, well, Stephen King was in position. He had to do something, because if he doesn't do something, Lee Hackett behind will do it for him. Trying to close back up on the leader is Stephen King. He's got Hackett breathing down on him. He's got Conway breathing on him, and Power breathing on him. There's really no relaxing here. It's all about second place at the moment. There's Stephen King absorbing massive pressure from Lee Hackett. Now, two early pit stoppers. Coming in together, that's the 21, that's Dante Dhillon. Dante Dhillon feeling he's qualified out of place. Greg Smith following Dhillon. Now, this is going to be interesting. There's Greg Smith leaving the pits now, and they pull away there. Greg Smith is down in 10th with Dhillon running ahead 9th, but the pair of them could pull themselves forward towards certainly the midsection there, especially if this lot are losing time fighting away. There's Stephen King in second. There's Lee Hackett third. Now, Lee Hackett will be seeing Ruben Boutens go away. Lee Hackett, of course, is the only other former British champion in this race. As much as Ruben wants to make it 6 and then 9 cart there, that's Carl Stevens. Carl Stevens taking an early pit stop. He was running a bit lower in the order, and he's just really wanting to get away from the scrap, I think, seeing that he obviously feels he's going to be quicker running on his own. So there's Andrew Duff coming on screen. They're just going out of picture now. Of course, his excellent blogs are always worth a read after any karting event, especially the British Rental Kart Championship here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. So, action at the moment. The pit stopper there, that's the 16, Calum Conway. Now, Calum Conway there, the Scotsman. That was an interesting one. He didn't seem to be losing time, but he obviously feels as though he was, because he's pitted to get away from the problem of losing time. It was getting quite claustrophobic there in the battle led by Stephen King. So this leaves now Lee Hackett free, really, to start making attacks on Stephen King, and it's just a question of how patient Hackett's going to be. Lee Hackett, very capable driver, capable of being very thoughtful and conservative, but equally capable of being very aggressive, and he's always a little bit of a punt there on Stephen King. Stephen King will be in no doubt that Hackett's there, breathing heavy down his neck. He'll be able to feel him. He's looking over his shoulder there. As soon as the driver starts looking over the shoulder, you know that that's what they're thinking about. Maybe Stephen King has already sort of, given up hope. I hate to say it that way, but when you're dealing with Ruben Boutens, it's very easy to give up hope of winning this race. Ruben Boutens extending his lead. Lap time wise, we're seeing Ruben Boutens already down into the serious numbers, 32.3. He is, of course, the fastest on the track at the moment. Not the fastest of the weekend yet, but he's still getting up to speed. Ruben Boutens, this is his first race of the championship this year. He, of course, is the reigning world champion. Not just world champion, double world champion. Kind of took a long time to really get that first world title, did Ruben Boutens. For many years, he'd been dominating at national level in his home country, any European championship, similar to this Brkc. You'd see Rubens turn up, he would always be a factor, very often the champion. But it took him a while to uncork a world championship win. Always one of the favourites going in, never quite worked out, always top 3, second, third, this kind of thing. But then finally, in 2017, he opened up his first win. That was down in Spain. He backed that up with another win in the World Championship to make his second title in Poland last summer. And now he's going to be going surely for 3 this summer, this time in the USA, in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's Ruben Boutens who's leading, but the battle really is the one we're looking at. It's Stephen King. He's really having to fend off Lee Hackett now. Lee Hackett knows that he's got to have to start making moves on Stephen King if he wants to win this race. Ruben Boutens will be pulling away. You know it's Ruben Boutens. You know he's going to be doing that. Ruben Boutens is going to be trying to pull away. Hackett surely is either going to be thinking pass or pit. It's as simple as that. He can't sit like this for too long. Although he's looking pretty comfortable there behind Stephen King, this is not the way to win the race from Lee Hackett's point of view. I reckon we're going to see an early pit if we're not seeing an early pass. At the moment, he's getting close. He's looking pretty racy, so I think his option now The one he's thinking of is the pass option. Will it be in the snail here? No, but he was there pretty much on the inside. Maybe he'll be making a lunge down the backstretch with catching Stephen King there. He's the one in the purple helmet. That's it. Leading the way here in second place overall. There's Lee Hackett now. Lee, his options are, as I said, pass or pit, and I think that's going to be something that's determined very soon. We saw it work for Lewis Manley. No, he does not pit. He's still following Stephen King. Maybe Lee feels that this is the sort of pace they need to be running at, but, well, I think Lee could be running a bit quicker than this. I think he's capable of running there with Ruben Boutens, and that's really saying something. On screen, through the big turn, into the backstretch there. Stephen King trying to fend off Lee Hackett, and fending off it is. Is he going to move to the inside? No. Lee Hackett holds station. Lee Hackett running third on the road. None of the leaders are pitted at all. And there's Stephen King holding in second place. He'll be really pleased with his second and just desperate hang on to that. I don't think Stephen King will be thinking of a race win over Ruben Boutens, but he will be thinking of a second place over Lee Hackett if he can. Again, a little nudge there by Lee Hackett. You can see that has actually pushed Lee Hackett back a little bit. These are the kind of things that are going to cost Hackett time, and they're exactly the sort of things that will be making him think pit stops. Little look over his shoulder there to see Kyle Power, trying to figure out how far Kyle Power is, considering he'd lost a bit of time there on King. How much closer is Hackett his power to Hackett as a result will have been on his mind. Crossing the line again, it's getting a little cagey here. Hackett starting to close in again on King. Really, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people thinking that Lee Hackett might be best served to pit out of this. He gets close to King and then bumps him and drops back, and that's happened more than once in this race so far for Hackett. So maybe Hackett will be making the pass, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He needs to close up again on King, who goes to that defensive central line. He pushes him out wide, so Hackett will be really on his tail coming into this final turn now. Still no pit stop for Hackett. The question has to be asked, you know, would a Ruben Boutens pit in this position? Well, Hackett, he obviously knows what to do. He's a double British champion, so of course he knows what to do. But I think many will be thinking, Lee, pit now, just get in the pits. Look at Andrew Duff there. We saw him go through on the screen, and we're looking now. There's King, there's Hackett. But as we come down the backstretch, we may see in the background Andrew Duff. He's running in fifth place, so good position for him. He's always here, never really troubles leaders. We've seen him run second place before, but never really a race winner, but he does perform robustly, shall we say, in that mid-pack. If you're in a race with Andrew Duff, then, well, you're in a race, wherever it might be in the actual order itself. So there's Stephen King. He's going through, followed by Hackett. There's Kyle Power. There's Ruben Boutens, race leader. Really easy action there by the reigning world champion. And yeah, slightly more work going on behind there in second place. And third place, Lee Hackett. Is Lee Hackett staying out? He still stays out. He still stays out there. I'm quite surprised that Hackett hasn't pit, as I've said before. But, well, Lee obviously feeling that this is the way to get the best result possible. Maybe by keeping King where he is, he knows exactly where he is. He's going to force King to pit, then do some fast laps and pit himself. And then, you know, just rely on a couple of blinders to pass King for position. The thinking often is that if you're running at the front, it's going to be an early or a late pit stop. I mean, we saw obviously Matt Barsh get a penalty in the previous race for leaving it too late, so it could be a big mistake in some quarters. These two both in for long. Oh gosh, coming out of the pits there, unsighted, almost a collision. It looked like maybe it was. No, it's John Mark-Sisman, I believe. John Mark-Sisman. We'll see how that comes. He's a lap down, of course, is Sisman. So, King, Hackett, kind of holding station now, these two. Lee's not really taking any shots at King for a while. It's we saw any time he had tried something, it had ended up in contact. You can see that Hackett was dropping back a little as a result from any contact made. Onto the snail section, the tight area. People often look down the inside at this point here, but King does have it covered, and to be fair, Hackett on the outside wasn't really looking to make a move at all. So coming out from the snail section as they're onto the backstretch, that's the battle for second place. It is Stephen King versus Lee Hackett. Lee Hackett really still staying out. Still working on the back of Stephen King there. Not making a move, not making a pit stop either. Lee Hackett looked pretty content in that third place. He knows there's a lot of points for it, but I'm sure he's got his eyes on second place, if not the race win. So there we are, King, Hackett. Ruben Boutens has disappeared in the lead there. He's got 18 laps in the record books. We know the gap is now up to 5 seconds. So Ruben Boutens, in fact, he's in the position now where he could make a pit stop and still come out third. Ruben Boutens, and in fact, who we got? The 13. Well, that's the one we're waiting for. It's Lee Hackett. He's decided to put out, and then behind him is Andrew Duff. Now, this is going to be very interesting indeed. What is going to happen to Lee Hackett's times? Has he been held up by Stephen King, or is King actually going to pull away? Because Lee Hackett's best so far is 32.2. He's fighting against Ruben Boutens, arguably with a 32.1, the race leader. So can Hackett make up some time and make up some distance thereby on the race leader, Ruben Boutens? He's decided not to pass on Merritt, King, and King's in the pits as well. Now this is crucial from Hackett's point of view. Is King going to come out of the pits alongside or ahead of Hackett? Well, off the final turns, Hackett, and here comes Stephen King. It's going to be side by side. Hackett has speed. Oh, a bad stop by Stephen King, a bad stop. Unfortunately for Stephen King, it's unravelling big time. But he is in position ahead of Hackett. Now, Hackett's got someone between him and King. Hackett won't know that there's a penalty for Stephen King. Stephen King's going to have to make another pit stop. Ruben Boutens in the pit. Ruben Boutens in the pit there. This is the race leader. Now, he's going to have to come out clear of Hackett. Is he going to make it? It's going to be very close indeed. No, Ruben Boutens comes out with quite a healthy lead. There's a back marker there between him and the battle behind him, which obviously Lee Hackett. Lee Hackett's listed third, and there comes Stephen King. Stephen King taking a penalty pit stop there. He's jumping up and down to try and get some momentum from the kart. And Ruben Boutens continues in the lead, having made that crucial pit stop there. Surely this is the race win now for the reigning world champion. There's no problems and no one's in his sight. There's Lee Hackett. Calum Conway is listed in second now. We believe Conway's yet to pit. And Lee Hackett, of course, is very close. It's just half a second between him and Conway. So Hackett surely is now a shoe-in on second place. Ruben Boutens cannot be defeated for the win now, barring some major mechanical disaster. The world champion is opening his account here. Okay, so Calum Conway has actually pitted. That's fantastic news for Calum Conway, because Calum Conway's running in second on merit. He's taken a pit stop. All the leads have pitted now. There's no pit stops to be made. Calum Conway, a huge point score. Now, what can we say about Calum Conway? Well, in the 24 hours a couple of years ago, he was the, he won the Rookie Award for that. And he's part of the Iron Brew racing team down from Scotland. Calum Conway, and he must have been having plenty of Iron Brew going into this one, because he's on merit in second place. And when I say on merit, that's a serious merit, because he's ahead and fighting for position with double British champion Lee Hackett. Lee Hackett, of course, been a finalist at world level as well. So Lee Hackett has got all the credentials you like, and he's right on the tail of Conway here. Now here's Conway in second place. Boutens cleared off in the lead. We know that. But the battle is here for second place in the snail there. There's Calum Conway. He's now got Lee Hackett clear of the back marker and seriously breathing down his neck. Lee Hackett, double British champion, World Championship finalist, is looking for that second place. He does not want anybody like Calum Conway in his way in his pursuit of points going in towards, hopefully from his point of view, a British Championship final and maybe even win. But here's Calum Conway. He's got his own intention of second place. It's very close now, Hackett versus Conway. We're quite deep into the race now. We've still got some time to go. Still got a good 6 or so minutes, so we're heading towards the sort of final quarter. There, of course, is Stephen King. He's running ahead of Andrew Duff there. Stephen King, despite having to make 2 pit stops, though, such was his early pace, that he's only dropped to 5th. And at this level, having to make an extra pit stop as a penalty can well throw you to last place. We saw that happen earlier on. And Stephen King, though, there's Andrew Duff. There's Dante Dhillon and Carl Stevens. So Stephen King will be very relieved to be ahead of this lot and not having to fight his way through it. But still, it's Ruben Boutens with the fastest lap of the race. It is Calum Conway with second place. A bit of a change of position going on behind. It looks like, anyway, that's Dante Dhillon who's battling there. And it's him. Is that Greg Smith? No, it's him on Carl Stevens. Dante Dhillon's made up a place. Dante Dhillon now trying to move towards Andrew Duff. Andrew Duff, the well-renowned karting blogger. He'll have something to say about this race and this whole championship for sure. Meantime, though, 27 laps, so heading towards 30 laps complete. It is Ruben Boutens, but the battle is for second. Calum Conway there, fending off, literally fending off Lee Hackett. Now, Lee's found himself exactly where he was earlier on, except with a different driver he's fighting with. It's been a very busy race, this one, for Lee Hackett. He's been doing his best to get second. He's been doing everything right, but, well, even though Stephen King ended up getting a penalty there, he's found himself with another driver he's got to tackle for second place. So he gets one out of the way, he even gets a penalty, and he finds he's got someone else to tackle now. So, Lee Hackett, he can't pit his way around this. He's made a pit stop. Conway's made a pit stop, so Hackett is going to have to do this on merit. Now, Lee Hackett, double British champion, has the credentials to do this, but Calum is certainly showing himself to be a pretty racy competitor this time. He's, as I said, part of that Iron Brew racing team. They're certainly looking for as many points as possible. He'll have his teammates cheering him on, and of course Michael Weddle we saw in the previous race coming in third. He's part of that Iron Brew crew, and he'll be leaning over the balcony there, waving on Conway. Conway, of course, is trying really now to fend off Hackett. He cannot afford any mistakes at all, because Lee Hackett is one of the best in the business. The Scotsman there is doing everything he needs to do. There's only, nearly 3.5 minutes to go for Lee Hackett to try and do something here. Just for those who are here at the event after the race, well, the results are all on that mezzanine bit there on the back corner, so you can't see results, but there's Hackett. Hackett has taken second place from Calum Conway. Conway's making a race of it round the outside, but Hackett has position. Hackett's got the inside, Hackett's got position, super defensive there on completely the wrong side of the road to try and block Conway off. Hackett knows it's going to affect him in the corner, but if he didn't do it, Conway would be straight up the inside. And Lee Hackett looks like he's made it stick. Now, can Calum Conway do something about this? One of the Iron Brew drivers. Can Conway do something to get back at Hackett? If he's going to do something, it better be good, and it better be now, because Lee Hackett is a double British champion and a World Championship finalist already. Hackett appears to be pulling out some kind of distance. Lee Hackett has got, he's got a red light. We've got a wheel off a cart. It looks like Andrew Duff. A wheel's flown off a cart in the coming towards the finish there. There's Andrew Duff. He's minus a wheel. The wheel bounced off the barrier and hit the back of the cart there, and is in the middle of the road. So Andrew Duff, the cup blogger, well, you'll be able to read all about it on the blog. He's going to have to switch to a spare cart. We're under red light conditions, so everyone has to stop where they are, which is exactly what's happened. And everyone will be wondering, my goodness, what's all that about? And there's Andrew Duff. You can see he's holding a weight insert there in his right hand. They're taking the seats out. Now, the drivers have to share carts. They have to be weighted up. Obviously, the drivers themselves come in as light as possible and add weight to get to the minimum weight requirement. Some drivers have to add a lot. Some have to add relatively little. Now, Andrew Duff there, opting to use one of those, almost a homemade seat insert. Most of the top drivers have their seat inserts made to personally fit them with extra weight added. The circuit does provide weights, and they sit in the slot down the side of the cart, but as I say, that's down the side of the cart, so you might get a little bit of a better feel for the cart if it's more centrally mounted in the seat, and all of the top drivers have their own seats which they take to championship. They'll be going abroad with the various championships. The same one that Ruben Boutens is using this weekend for the British Rental Kart Championship. He'll be using the Dutch Championships and the Spanish and the World Championship later on in the year. That seat will go everywhere with him. The minimum weights are standardised. So that cart is being removed from the track. Obviously, we'll see whether the wheel has been broken or actually just sort of come undone for some reason. And we may see that cart back in action later on, or we may not. So certainly no problems with Lee Hackett's cart there we saw in picture. But as I say, some of these seats and some of the drivers, very light weighted. Guillermo van Pamelen springs to mind, the young driver there. He was one of the top junior drivers, and then when he reverted to or moved up to the senior level, he was still very, very light. So light, he actually couldn't lift his own seat insert. Such was the amount of weight he was having to carry. So Guillermo, at least, has actually put on a little bit of weight this winter. He's obviously popped down to Brkc or something like that and put on a little bit of weight, but he's still probably the one carrying the heaviest seat insert at the moment. So there's Andrew Duff. We've seen him in action here at the BRKC year on year. As I say, best sort of running position has been the second place. He's yet to actually win a British Championship race, but that's not for lack of trying. Anytime you are in a race, though, with Andrew Duff, you know it is going to be a race. It might well be a race for second, it might well be a race for eighth, but it is going to be a race that you're in. Very tough competitor indeed is Andrew Duff. He was the one who had the wheel fly off. He was running in 8th place at the time. That'll have been a little bit of a shock to him as much to anyone else, and somehow it'll have gone under the car, probably bounced him up in the air. It was off camera, so we didn't see it. I was looking at the screen here rather than out the window. It would have been right in front of me actually when it happened, but I was obviously looking at the screen. There's Greg Smith there in the 10 kart. You can see that GS on the side of the helmet as the camera gets even closer there to Greg Smith. He is running in 9th place right now as GSR Racing's Greg Smith, and he was the Young Stars Winter Champion back in 2014, 5 years ago now, and obviously moving on from being a young star, he's now sort of a slightly older star, 5 years on, showing well in the BRKC. But there he is, there's the man, the reigning British champion. He's looking for 6 consecutive British titles. That's Ruben Boutens. He's also the reigning world champion. He knows he's just got a handful of laps, just a few minutes now between him and victory to open his account for the British Rental Kart Championship 2019 here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. Dubai Autodrome, it say that they had a big event there. Obviously, you know, he won that as well. A member of the Blue Star Racing team, and Blue Star Racing, they score individually in championships like this, but then the guys tend to come together for the long distance races. Things like the Erpener 25 hours like last year, which is at the Erpen circuit, which I actually have competed there in the World Championship, an excellent circuit, very much in the eastern part of Belgium there, near the German border. But over there at Erpen, an amazing circuit. I mean, I remember racing. That was where I made my World Championship debut as a driver years ago at Erpen. Ruben Boutens, of course, knows Erpen very well. Blue Star Racing team, being Belgian, they know Erpen very well. And so they have the best drivers, and they won the 25-hour race. So Ruben Boutens, he of course won that last year. That's on his resume for last year, the Erpener 25 hours. But there he is, Ruben Boutens. He's looking to make it 6 British Championships. Yeah, that's 6 British Championships. Not only 6 consecutive ones. And I'm sure he's got a triple on the World Championship in mind as well. Calm, contented, never makes any mistakes. It's impossible to think of the last time Ruben Boutens made a mistake. It has to be said, he took some time to actually unlock that first World Championship. He was one of the favourites to win the title for many years. Some were even wondering, is it going to come to him? But he stuck in there. Obviously these days, a little bit older than he was when he first started. He was always competing at a very high level from a very early age, Ruben Boutens, but he's been on the world scene now for over a decade and has been a potential winner every time in every event now in that time. Ruben Boutens, 6 times British champion and reigning double world champion from the Netherlands. Interestingly, although he's from the Netherlands and competes in all the European championships, his most successful championship is this one here, the British Rental Kart Championship. Since it's been here at Formula Fast, Ruben Boutens, he literally has been the winner of every event. It kind of raises the interesting question. Some people think it's unthinkable that he'll be beaten this year, but equally, to make 6 consecutive championships is equally unthinkable. So whatever happens, Sunday night come the final, we will have arguably an unthinkable result. Unthinkably, Ruben making it 6, and unthinkably, somebody beating him. Right, looks like we're back underway again. Ruben Boutens just got 3 minutes now between him and that first place, but Lee Hackett now. Lee Hackett has moved to 2nd place. We saw him, an amazing move on Calum Conway. That amazing move put him to 2nd. He is 7 seconds behind Ruben Boutens, the race leader, and I think that's the best that Lee Hackett can really hope for. I mean, obviously he's going to be giving it his formidable best, but anything Lee Hackett does now is surely going to be all about making sure Calum Conway doesn't get the chance to come back at him. Conway, when they stopped, was a 2nd behind him, so Lee Hackett had actually given himself a little bit of breathing space. We're looking at Ruben Boutens, the leader of the race and the reigning champion. He's heading towards the Snell section. There he goes. Look at that real, as Jackie Stewart would say, economy of effort. Very little action there in the kart. and that is why he's so fast. He has to do very little. 32.1 on the lap timer. That's the best we've seen so far this weekend. There's Andrew Duff. Now, we saw a wheel fly off. Last time we saw him on camera, he only had 3 wheels on his wagon. He, of course, in a spare cart. We'll wonder how much warmer that's going to be. But there's Ruben Boutens. He's been waved through by Greg Smith there. Greg Smith moving out of the way, allowing the world champion, the race leader, to pass him. Greg Smith goes a lap down. Now, Greg Smith, he will be aware that he's following the reigning world champion. He'll be watching everything that happens in front of him and just desperately trying to stay with the champ as long as he can. Probably start emulating him, seeing, gosh, what's he doing different to me, things like that. But Greg Smith, of course, is you know, a top driver in his own right, but he now gets a chance to follow and learn from the true master of the rental karting scene. He's been given the checker. Ruben Boutens wins. Lee Hackett surely is going to come through in second, so Ruben Boutens taking that first win. That ends this particular heat. Lee Hackett is in second place. Calum Conway third. Surely Kyle Power is going to be fourth and Stephen King fifth. And it's a battle down the backstretch. That's the lower order. It's Duff, Dhillon and Stevens. Carl Stevens getting pretty racy on Dante Dhillon there. There's Andrew Duff, who had to swap to another kart. There's Dhillon. But unfortunately for him, it's Stevens who was the back of that little group. He was trying to make a move at the end there, as there he comes, the reigning champion and the race winner there, Ruben Boutens, opening his account. Now look at that, making a practice pit stop. All of them making practice pit stop as they come in. There's never, they could have just driven straight down the pit lane, you know, they don't need to worry about it, but everybody, oh, that's not bothering with the pit stop there. That's Calum Conway, but you can see there Ruben Boutens taking every opportunity to practice things there. Yesterday he only did, I think it was 2 practice sessions, and he was listed as something like 11th in the overall standings after the testing yesterday. That was out of the vast majority of drivers who were here. I think it was about 90 people out there during the day. Ruben Boutens listed at 11th, but he's shown he is indeed the master, converted pole position to race victory. Andrew Duff sort of seeing if the kart needs to stay in the lineup there for next race or to be moved to one side. There's Dante Dhillon getting out.